Hello, weary traveler. Tonight, we unlock a heavy door deep in the halls of memory and step inside a world soaked in silence. A world where stone walls remember, where echoes don't fade, they linger. This is the castle, but not the kind you might dream of. Not the golden turrets or grand banquets. This is a castle where dust gathers on forgotten portraits, where the wind whispers secrets through cracked shutters and servants tiptoe quietly, because they've learned what happens when they don't. Whether you've curled into your bed, seeking a gentle tale to lull you into slumber, or you've simply arrived looking for solace, for escape, for the comfort of another time, I welcome you to this quiet chapter of history. You are safe here. Tonight, we walk not with kings, queens, or noble knights. No, we walk beside the lowest of the low, the invisible hands who polished the gold, scraped the soot, and bowed at every door. The servants, those whose names were rarely recorded, whose stories melted into the stone, and whose spirits, some say, never truly left. Imagine this. It's winter. Snow curls against the ramparts like smoke. The castle looms, its silhouette biting into a gray sky. Inside, a girl named Elspeth rolls out of her straw mattress. She's 14, eyes heavy, fingers cracked from yesterday's scrubbing. Her shift hangs limp from the nail, damp as always. She pulls it on anyway and creeps toward the scullery. The fire has died. She hesitates. The shadows move. But the potatoes must be peeled. The cauldron must be cleaned. The upper servants don't care if you're haunted. They care if the table isn't laid. In the west wing, a boy named Owen polishes brass candlesticks beneath a stained glass window. He does not look into it. He knows the story. The boy who saw something moving in the glass and didn't speak again. Owen hums quietly as he works, the same tune his mother sang when she washed clothes beside the river, back when rivers weren't frozen. Suddenly, a thud. He turns. Nothing. Not even footprints. But the scent of candle smoke lingers, and the wick hasn't been lit all morning. In the laundry cellar, they say the sheets move. That Lady Marjorie, the one who died waiting for her execution, still tries to wrap herself against the damp. Her arms, they say, stretch from beneath the linen, folding, and the sheet is always warm afterward. Servants whisper it, but they keep washing. Because Lady Marjorie never hurt anyone. Not like the Red Knight. The Red Knight paces the Hall of Antlers. He's seen after sundown, armor rusted, eyes hollow. They say he killed the kennel master and buried the dogs beneath the east stair. And he still searches for their barks. No servant walks there alone. And none whistles in the hallway. Not since 1764. There is a rule in the castle: never whistle. Not even to yourself. Too many things whistle back. Elspeth learned that last spring. She'd been carrying a tray of carved meats to the high table, when she paused near the tapestry corridor and whistled a tune, just 2 notes. The ones she always used to call her brother. She heard an answer. Not her brother. The tray spilled. The meat ruined. She was whipped for carelessness. But she remembers the tune that came back. It still creeps into her dreams. The cellar maid, Marcy, swears that when you mop the upper gallery at dawn, your bucket fills itself, with water cold as grave soil. She tells it to scare the new girls. But once, when she cried alone after being cursed out for a missing spoon, she says her bucket filled halfway. She didn't mop anything, just sat beside it. And for a moment, she swears she felt warmth, not water. A soft palm against her back. Servants are not allowed to cry. Tears are for nobles. Servants leak them in the laundry steam, behind barrels, inside the dumbwaiter. Sometimes in the chapel, but only after dark. No one knows who lights the candle behind the altar. It's not part of any sermon, not part of any ritual, but it burns always. They say it's for the little footman who died of consumption before his 12th birthday. He used to sneak crumbs to the mice and polish the pews with his own shirt. The mice still wait there, and the pew is always clean. Owen once cleaned the portrait room after sundown. He didn't want to. He'd heard the stories, that the lady in the blue dress never had eyes until after dusk, that the mustached duke's frame weeps at midnight. But he was dared, so he scrubbed the banisters, wiped the sill, dusted the gold braid around the frames. And as he turned to leave, one portrait whispered, "You missed a spot." He ran. They let him sleep beside the fire that night, and no one teased him, because they know the castle speaks to those who listen too long. And servants listen every moment. Every creak means a task. Every silence means you've missed something. Sometimes silence means someone is behind you. You don't turn. You never turn. The The chapel bell rings twice at midnight. No one pulls the rope. It doesn't even have one. They say the castle remembers. Every sorrow. Every kindness. The kitchen boy who died saving a cat, his name scratched into the underside of the bread oven. The chambermaid who made her own soap, which still scents the south corridor. The stable boy who sang to horses and who still whistles in the hay loft, though he drowned 10 winters ago. There is no proof. But no servant asks for it. They know. They know the castle breathes with the weight of what's been. They feel it in their bones, in the worn soles of their shoes, in the ache behind their eyes when sleep won't come. They do not run. They work. Because the castle demands. And in return it protects. Sometimes. And tonight, dear listener, as you lie there in the hush of your own room, warmth wrapping you like fog, perhaps listen for the whisper of footsteps. Perhaps feel the faint breath of memory on your cheek. Or perhaps just sleep. Because the servants in the haunted castle, long gone yet not forgotten, they work through centuries of silence, cruelty, and shadow. And somehow they endured. The castle remembers names that were never written. In the southeast corridor, beneath the gargoyle arch, lies a hollow panel. No one knows how old it is. But if you press your ear to it, you'll hear breathing. Slow. Shallow. Waiting. Once, a page named Ansel disappeared on his way to fetch bread. The loaves were found. Still warm. His cap lay folded neatly beside them. But Ansel was never seen again. Some say the panel swallowed him. Some say he fled, unable to bear the whispers. Either way, the hollow breath behind the wood hasn't stopped. And bread never warms in that corridor again. In the courtyard, snow falls in patterns. Not random. The gardeners, quiet folk with soot under their nails, say the flakes avoid one corner. The East Fountain. A place where the goose girl drowned, accused of stealing turnips meant for the kitchen. She didn't steal them. They say she was trying to feed the rats. Because the rats had names. And one of them still curls beneath the pews at dusk, waiting for the prayers to begin. There is no mass at that hour. But the air thickens like incense. And sometimes, the shadow of the goose girl kneels beside him. In the library, the dust moves in spirals. You can read the air if you're patient. The butler does. His eyes are yellowed, his spine bent. He's polished every tile twice over and knows when to turn a page without touching it. He once found an open book whose title couldn't be read, because it didn't have one. He closed it. It whimpered. Books should not make sound. He didn't speak for a week. But he placed a second candlestick beside the shelf that hides the book, just in case it got cold. The book hasn't opened since. But the candle still flickers, even when the window is closed. The main hall was carved from quarried stone so old it forgets its own origin. The engravings don't match any known coat of arms. Too many birds. Too few swords. One maid says she saw them shift at midnight. The bird raised its wings. It had teeth beneath the feathers. She doesn't clean that hall anymore. The nobles didn't mind. They haven't entered it since the frost of '83 when Lord Edwin tripped over his own goblet and claimed to see his mother, long dead, eating figs in the chandelier. She was allergic to figs. The chandelier hasn't lit properly since. The oil drips upward. In the nursery, no children cry. Because there are no children. But the crib rocks sometimes. And a soft lullaby hums beneath the floorboards. No servant claims it. Though one swears that the tune matches a necklace melody. A pendant found years ago beneath the stairs. It doesn't play anymore. But sometimes it's warm to the touch. Even in snow. And if you press it to your ear, you hear someone say, "Don't forget the milk." The milk jug in the kitchen always has enough. Even when it shouldn't. Even when the cows haven't grazed in days. The castle takes care of its own. Especially those who remember. And especially those who keep the floors clean. One scullery boy found salt piled in the shape of a crescent moon behind the barley sack. No one admitted doing it. He swept it up. The next day, he found gold coins where the salt had been. He didn't touch them. They melted at sundown. Now he leaves a pinch of salt every full moon. And the mice do not bite him. The candlemaker's daughter smells like honey. Even though she hasn't touched a hive in years. She once brewed wax from memory. Poured it in the shape of a heart. It cracked after midnight. Inside there was a tooth. Human. Not hers. She buried it. The flowers bloomed there every winter. Even when it snowed. She doesn't question it. She just brings another wick each month. And lights it beside the grave. The flame dances sideways. The chimney in the west tower won't light. No matter how much kindling is stuffed inside. Once, a servant boy tried warming it with oil. He caught a glimpse of someone curled in the flue. Not a body. Just eyes. They blinked. He swears they weren't blinking at him. They blinked toward the wall behind him. He turned. Nothing. But the soot formed a sentence. Tell her I stayed. He never learned who her was. But he never lit the chimney again. The room is used for storage now. The potatoes don't rot in there. And no spiders enter. One night a maid with red hands hummed in the linen vault. She didn't know anyone was listening. But afterward, her basket held a plum she hadn't packed. It wasn't ripe. It tasted like spring. She didn't eat it. But she kept it, wrapped in silk. And every month it glows once briefly. Usually on Thursdays. The master cook claims he saw Queen Isolde's ring beneath the stew pot. But Queen Isolde died before rings were invented. They searched the pot. Nothing. But for 3 nights after, the stew never cooled, even without fire. And the candles above the pot formed a perfect circle. She says it tasted like childhood. No one asked what that meant. But the kitchen boys slept better that week. The castle chooses what it keeps. It chooses which secrets to share. And always, it listens. So when the servants breathe gently, telling no one what they saw, when they leave a little extra crumb by the stairwell, when they wash the same windows twice, not because they're dirty, but because they feel sad, the castle hums with them. It rewards kindness. It comforts quiet. It remembers those who remember. So sleep now, dear listener. Sleep knowing that even in cold places warmth gathers. Even among stone memory blooms. Even beyond silence love hums. The servants are watching, but not with fear. With care. Close your eyes. The story continues. The stairs remember every footstep. There's a slight dip in the 5th one. The kind only made after thousands of heels pressed down over centuries. No one speaks of the dip. Because if you linger there too long, it whispers. Not words. Just breath. Soft, pleading like a child asking for help but too polite to demand. The steward avoids that step now. He counts wrong just to skip it. But he still leaves a scrap of bread there every Tuesday. It's always gone by morning. In the back kitchen, used only during spring banquets, a narrow table has a stain that changes shape. Sometimes it looks like a key. Sometimes a lock. Sometimes a face. No one scrubs it anymore. The last servant who tried caught her own reflection in the pot lid. Only it blinked first. She dropped the lid. It rolled toward the stain. And stopped. She hasn't spoken since. But the stain hasn't moved. On the 3rd floor, the linen closet sighs. Not often. Just when the curtains ripple without wind. Or when the tea kettle whistles, even though it's empty. Old matron Edna keeps her thimbles there. She says the sigh is her sister. They never found her. She wasn't even listed on the staff rolls. But Edna swears she felt her once, tugging gently on her apron during vespers. She leaves a comb inside the closet. The drawer creaks open every now and then. The comb is always clean. No one brushes their hair there. They just feel less alone. The castle has many clocks. Most don't keep proper time. One ticks backward. One chimes at 13. And one, high in the bell tower, never chimes at all. But it hums. A low, resonant note. Like breath against the bones. They say it started humming after the bell ringer fell. No one knows how he reached the top. The ladder had collapsed weeks before. Some say he was lifted. Carried. The bell never rang. But the hum stays. And late at night, when all other sounds fade, you can feel it in your teeth. In the embroidery room, there's a spool of crimson thread that unravels itself on stormy nights. The head seamstress, a quiet woman with shadowed eyes, says it belonged to a girl named Cecily. Cecily stitched roses that looked too real, petals bruised, thorns sharp. Then one day she pricked her finger. The blood pooled but never dried. She stitched it into the cloth. The cloth burned itself. Nothing else caught fire. Now the spool unwinds whenever the thunder growls. No one rewinds it. Not anymore. It rests in the drawer beside a needle that points north. Always. Even when you turn it. Especially when you turn it. In the servant dining hall, the chairs do not match. 6 are oak. 1 is walnut. 1 is carved from driftwood. 1 has initials on the underside. L.E. They don't match any ledger. But the cook says she dreamed of a boy with those initials. Twice. Once when her daughter fell sick. Once when she forgot her own birthday. He told her to put nutmeg in the stew. She did. The fever broke. She didn't forget again. The chair creaks every Wednesday. Even if no one sits in it. especially if no one sits in it. The castle's